Welcome to episode 40 of the 5-Minute Disasters podcast. Just a quick heads up before we get into the episode, this show is getting a new name. We're rebranding as Compact Disasters, part of the new Compact Histories network. You can find us at compactdisasters.com, which will take you straight to our new home under compacthistories.com. There's nothing for you to do, as the episodes will stay right here in your feed. Just look out for the new branding and links to the new website. Right, with that being said, let's get on with episode 40, the Space Shuttle Columbia disaster. On the 1st of February 2003, 7 astronauts were heading home after a successful 16-day mission in space. The Space Shuttle Columbia was just minutes away from landing. Families were gathering, NASA was watching, and the skies were clear. Then, silence. The shuttle never arrived. Instead, the spacecraft disintegrated high above the southern United States, scattering debris across Texas and Louisiana. In just a few moments, Columbia was gone, and with it, every life on board. This is the story of how a tiny piece of foam, a critical blind spot, and a culture of overconfidence brought down a billion-dollar spacecraft, and 7 brilliant, dedicated people. STS-107 was a science-focused mission. The crew carried out more than 80 experiments while in orbit, from studying fluid dynamics and material science to testing the effects of microgravity on biological systems. In many ways, it was a textbook success. The astronauts on board were an international and inspirational crew: Commander Rick Husband, pilot William McCool, and mission specialists Michael Anderson, David Brown, Laurel Clark, Kalpana Chawla, and Ilan Ramon, the first Israeli astronaut in space. Behind the scenes, though, trouble had started before the shuttle even reached orbit. 82 seconds after liftoff, during Columbia's ascent, a chunk of insulating foam broke off the external fuel tank. It struck the left wing of the orbiter near the leading edge, a critical area covered in reinforced carbon panels designed to withstand the searing heat of re-entry. This wasn't the first time foam had broken loose during a launch. It had happened before, and because nothing catastrophic had come of it previously, NASA had come to see it as an acceptable risk, just part of the process. Except this time, the damage was different, and no one knew just how serious it was. Some engineers raised concerns. They requested high-resolution imaging from orbit to inspect the wing, but those concerns never made it far up the chain. Management dismissed the issue as non-critical. There was no sense of urgency, no plan for in-orbit repair, and no suggestion that the crew was in danger. For the astronauts aboard Columbia, everything seemed fine. 16 days later, the crew began their return to Earth. On the 1st of February, they prepared for re-entry, the final hurdle before touchdown. As the shuttle descended through the upper atmosphere, all systems appeared normal. But then, small anomalies began to appear. Sensors on the left side of the vehicle started to fail. Temperatures rose. Then more readings vanished. In mission control, engineers scrambled to interpret the data. Then came the final transmission from Commander Rick Husband, a calm, routine acknowledgement. Moments later, Columbia broke apart. The shuttle disintegrated at over 12,000 miles per hour, 39 miles above the Earth. The intense heat and pressure of re-entry had entered the wing through the hole left by the foam strike. The structure failed, and with it, the crew cabin was torn away. There was no warning, no escape system, no chance. News of the disaster spread quickly. Shock turned to grief, and grief turned to questions. How could this have happened? Why wasn't the damage taken more seriously? Could the crew have been saved? As the investigation unfolded, the answers were both technical and human. The foam strike had been captured on launch footage, but it wasn't analysed in depth. NASA leadership, influenced by years of routine success, had grown used to minor issues resolving themselves. Risk had been normalised. The official report found that the foam impact had created a breach in the wing's thermal protection. During re-entry, that breach allowed superheated gases, as hot as molten metal, to enter the wing structure, destroying it from the inside. But the real failure wasn't just the foam. It was the culture. NASA, in its pursuit of performance, had created an environment where bad news struggled to travel upward. Engineers voiced concerns, but they weren't heard. Requests for images were denied or ignored. And even in the face of mounting evidence, those in charge convinced themselves everything was under control. The Columbia Accident Investigation Board concluded that NASA's organizational culture and decision-making processes were as much to blame as the physical damage to the shuttle. In the aftermath, the shuttle program was grounded. For more than 2 years, no shuttle flights launched, while NASA overhauled its safety systems. New procedures were introduced. Future missions included in-orbit inspections of the shuttle's heat shield. NASA developed a detailed emergency repair plan, and crew escape systems were once again pushed to the forefront of spacecraft design. The Columbia disaster also led to a deeper cultural shift. Engineers were encouraged to speak up. Management was reminded of the dangers of groupthink. And the space agency, once burned by overconfidence, began to take uncertainty more seriously. But for the families of the crew, and for the world, those changes came too late. Columbia's crew, Husband, McCool, Anderson, Brown, Clark, Chawla, and Ramon, were honored in countless ways. Memorials were built. Mars landmarks were named in their honor. Their legacy was written into the stars they gave their lives exploring. When the shuttle program eventually came to an end in 2011, Columbia's memory remained at its core. A reminder that every launch carries risk, and every mistake carries weight. The loss of Columbia wasn't the result of a dramatic explosion or a single moment of disaster. It was a slow-motion tragedy built on small misjudgments, unnoticed warnings, and the dangerous comfort of past success. In the end, it was a sobering lesson. Even the most advanced systems are only as safe as the people managing them. And even in space, perhaps especially in space, humility is essential. I hope you enjoyed that episode of the 5-Minute Disasters podcast from 5minutedisasters.com. If you did, why not leave us a review wherever you get your podcasts, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any future episodes. If you would like to support us more directly, please consider buying us a coffee. Head on over to 5minutedisasters.com/coffee to see how. Also, please check out our other 5-minute podcasts. You will find them all at 5minuteproductions.com. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you next time.